The Governor of the RBA will address inflation fears today when he speaks at a business event. For more on this, I'm joined by our reporter, Ed Boyd. Ed, the Governor Phil Lowe will speak about the recent trend in inflation, where we've seen petrol prices lift. Inflation is, though, within the Reserve Bank's target band. So he'll be looking to calm things down, do you think?
I think he's going to be looking to try and calm things down a little bit. I mean, we have seen some pretty big inflationary pressures for certain household items in Australia this year, particularly petrol, which is around $1.60 a litre and could go to $2 a litre by Christmas. But there are other things as well. COVID's pushed up supply chain costs. The cost of shipping goods from the Northern Hemisphere to Australia is now a lot more expensive. So big shipping companies are actually choosing to make money by doing shorter routes around the Northern Hemisphere than coming all the way to the Southern Hemisphere. Discounting's not as prevalent as it may have been in the past with the price of electrical goods, but also second-hand car prices. They're about 30% higher this year than last year. And the other big issue the Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe is probably going to want to discuss today is the differences between inflation in Australia, where it's at 2.1%, and in the United States, where it's almost 3 times higher at 6.2%. And the main reason for that is wages growth. So in Australia, wages growth are about 1.7%, and we're going to get the next quarter of wages growth announced tomorrow from the Bureau of Statistics, whereas in America, wages growth is much higher at more like the 5% mark. Laura?
When unemployment is so low and, businesses are desperate to get staff and workers, usually that's the recipe to push wages a little bit higher, but that hasn't really happened in Australia. Do we need to give it more time? What's going on there, Ed?
Look, I think the Governor will say today it's going to take a bit more time for wages growth to increase. They've got wages growth at 2.5% by the end of next year. It's at 1.7% in the most recent quarter of statistics we've been given, and we're going to get the latest quarter tomorrow. But look, wages growth still has quite a long way to go before we get anywhere near the United States' level. But in the US, they've got some different pressures there as well. The prices, particularly of construction costs, have gone up significantly. The price of timber is very expensive in the United States, and that's pushing up other prices across the board in the US. The other implication, Laura, is interest rates and the cash rate. Expect the Governor to talk about the cash rate today. Just this morning, we've seen Westpac increase its fixed mortgages rates for the 3rd time this month. So the cost of funding is starting to go up. Banks are going to start raising cash rates. We've seen 16 lenders this month have lifted their fixed mortgage rates already in Australia. Apparently now it's just National Australia Bank where you could get a home loan with a 1 in front of it. All the other banks, it's at least 2% now. And expect to see those pressures on the banking system continue, and they're going to be lifting their own rates no matter what the Reserve Bank of Australia does.
Yeah, we've seen that already. Ed, thanks so much. We'll speak to you about that speech a little later on.